You know that feeling, right? That intense urge to know something, that little spark that makes you stop everything and just look up an answer. We call it curiosity. But what if I told you it's not just some personality quirk? What if it's actually a powerful brain state that completely transforms how we learn, turning our minds into these incredible sponges for information?
Okay, let's just jump right in with a question that sounds, well, kind of impossible. How on earth could being super curious about, say, the capital of Kyrgyzstan somehow help you remember the face of a total stranger you only saw for a couple of seconds? I know, it sounds completely unrelated, but the answer to this actually reveals the secret superpower of the learning brain.
So for a long time, the classic explanation from psychology has been something called the information gap theory. The idea is pretty simple. When we notice a gap between what we know and what we want to know, our brain feels this little sense of deprivation. It creates a drive, a need to find that missing piece of the puzzle.
I love how neuroscientist Charn Ranganath puts it. He says it's like an itch you just have to scratch, and that feeling is so powerful, right? It pushes us to seek out knowledge. But that's the psychological theory. What's actually happening inside our heads on a biological level? Well, to figure out what that itch really looks like inside the brain, scientists over at UC Davis cooked up this brilliant experiment to watch a curious brain in action. So here's how it worked. First, they got a bunch of people and had them rate how curious they were about a whole list of trivia questions. Then, they put them inside an fMRI scanner, which watches brain activity. They'd see a question they were really curious about, but they had to wait 14 seconds for the answer. And here's the key part. During that wait, a completely random, neutral face would flash on the screen. And then finally, they get the answer to the trivia question. After the scan, the researchers hit the participants with a surprise memory test. And they didn't just ask about the trivia, they asked about those random faces too. And what they found was absolutely wild.
The results showed this incredible sponge effect. Now, as you'd probably guess, when people were super curious, their memory for the trivia answers was way, way better. But get this, their memory for the totally unrelated faces was also significantly better. It's like curiosity created a learning vortex that just sucked in everything around it, even stuff that had nothing to do with the original question.
So this brings us right back to the big question, doesn't it? How does curiosity pull this off? What is happening in the brain to create this incredibly powerful learning state? The answer is both really simple and honestly kind of profound. Curiosity hijacks the brain's reward system. Those fMRI scans showed a huge surge of activity in the brain's dopamine circuit. Areas deep in the brain started pumping out dopamine. You've probably heard of it, the feel-good chemical. And it flooded two really important zones, the brain's reward center and the hippocampus, which is our memory hub. Basically, being curious activates the very same pleasure and memory systems that light up for things like eating delicious food or winning a game. So really, we're talking about two completely different brain states here. In a low curiosity state, it's pretty much business as usual. But when you're in that high curiosity state, the dopamine reward circuit fires up, the hippocampus is fully engaged, and your brain is chemically primed and ready to build strong, lasting memories about pretty much anything it encounters. Okay, so the brain is flooded with these learn now chemicals, which is awesome. But what does it actually do with that new information? How does curiosity help us organize and build our knowledge? To get that, we kind of have to picture what knowledge even looks like inside our minds. Imagine all of your knowledge as this giant, interconnected network, almost like your own personal Wikipedia in your head. Every idea is a page, and every link is a connection between ideas. Researchers now think of curiosity as the walk we take through this network. It's how we explore, connect, and build it out. And some really cool new work suggests that our curiosity builds this knowledge network in three distinct but complementary ways. First, curiosity drives us to fill in the gaps. This is that itch we were talking about before, that deep-seated drive to connect different islands of knowledge, making our mental map more complete and a whole lot stronger. Second, curiosity helps us compress knowledge. So instead of just memorizing a dozen different facts, it pushes us to find the one single rule that explains all of them. This is all about working smarter, not harder, creating these mental shortcuts that lead to a much deeper understanding. And finally, curiosity helps us reconfigure our ideas. It keeps that knowledge network of ours flexible. It lets us shuffle concepts around, challenge what we think we know, and make those new creative connections that lead to those incredible aha moments.
So let's bring it all together. The big takeaway here is that curiosity isn't just some passive feeling. It is an active, neurochemical state. It floods our brain with dopamine, it primes our memory centers, and it literally helps us reshape our understanding of the world. It really is a learning superpower.
And the best part is, you can totally harness this power. Before you start learning something new, prime your brain by asking a bunch of questions. Don't be afraid of what you don't know. See those knowledge gaps as exciting opportunities. Let yourself follow a weird tangent. And hey, if you have to learn something that seems boring, try to reframe it as a mystery that you need to solve.
So, I'll leave you with one final question to get that reward circuit firing in your own brain. What are you most curious about right now?